Here we go. Man, I need to start this thing over, Jack. I was talking to my guest with my earplug, and I took it out and forgot to unmute. Right. So y'all didn't hear the introduction, man. I feel like playing that joint over. Right. Yeah, man. Y'all hang in there with me for a minute, man. Y'all hanging there with me for a minute. Y'all gonna get this, man. Check this out.
Get ready for a powerhouse of inspiration. Principal Baruti Kafele. A highly regarded educator and a transformational leader, Principal Kafele has spent over 20 years in New Jersey's urban schools, making a lasting impact as both a master teacher and a turnaround principal. Under his leadership, the mighty Newark Tech transformed from a low-performing school to one of America's best, as recognized by U.S. News and World Report 3 times. A recipient of the prestigious Milken Educator Award, Principal Kafele is one of the most sought-after voices in school leadership and equity. He's delivered over 3,000 keynotes, workshops, and seminars across the nation, authored 13 books, including 7 ASCD bestsellers, and continues to empower leaders through his live-streamed AP and New Principals Academy. Please join us in welcoming the extraordinary Principal Baruti Kafele.
I don't know who that guy, Principal Baruti Kafele, is, but it sounds like he been doing some work, man. Yo, hook me up with that dude, man. I hope y'all hear me now, man. So yeah, I see all of you, man. I gotta get going, man, because I got the big time guests, man. We got the special guests in the building. I see y'all, man. I'm just going through here. Let me just close out by, I always try to close out with my Jersey, with my Jersey folks on here. I see my man Keith Hinton II. He's in the building, president of the East Orange Education Association, doing his thing and still in the classroom teaching. Now you ain't teaching right now. You the president. So therefore, hey y'all, let me say to you, I'm here in Vegas. Good morning. Greetings. Welcome to week 240 of the AP and New Principals Academy. And, I got my question for y'all, man. My same question. How y'all doing, man? In fact, I'm gonna get a little heavier with it during my monologue, but let me just ask you, how you doing? How you doing? Me, I'm in Vegas. I'm a little tired because it's early. I don't get up this early, right, to do this. But but I'm good. I'm not going back to sleep. I'm good. Just drink a little coffee. We're gonna be good, man. Eyes a little slanted, I can see it, but I'm feeling good, man. But let me not tell you why, because I want to save that for my monologue, right? So let's just go right to my announcements here. Where we at? It's November 30th, and it's 2024. So November 30th is special for me because that's the birthday of the Queen, my wife. So I want to say, and a lot of y'all been saying happy birthday. I didn't say anything because I just wanted to wait until I got here. But for all of you that were saying happy birthday, we appreciate that. We see all the comments. I see them on all 4 platforms: Facebook, X, YouTube, and LinkedIn. I hope Blue Sky, we have access to that soon. If you don't follow me on Blue Sky, y'all follow me there. But let me get back to my wife's birthday, man. We here in Vegas. We always travel for my birthday in October and her birthday in November. Last day in November, she's here. So we celebrated Thanksgiving here since Thanksgiving fell on the last week this year. So I don't want to say we celebrated Thanksgiving here. We were here on Thanksgiving. Let's put it that way. And so it's been a great week, and we're still here. We're not leaving here till Monday. But been a great week. But happy birthday to the Queen. She's right over there. Happy birthday to the Queen, man. Good, just a good way to celebrate birthdays. It's the way we do it. Let's get out of town and do our thing. So shout out to my wife, the Queen. Happy birthday. Next, shout out to CS Partners and Sean. I hope I get this right. Novi, right? Is it no? Because people say to me Novi, Novi, Navi. People are from there, but they give me all these different pronunciations. So I'll say Novi, Michigan. So Novi, Michigan. Shout out to CS Partners, man. Invited me to keynote their conference, charter school conference, about 850 strong in the audience. And I just had a great day there, doing breakout sessions. The breakouts were full. Like I felt like the whole conference was in the breakout sessions, which is not a good thing because you got other speakers. But especially when I did my leadership session, it's like, wow, these are not all leaders in here, but they wanted to be in the room. So that's a good thing. It's a blessing. It's just a straight up blessing that so many people want to come and listen to this guy called Principal Baruti Kafele. I got to meet him sometime, man. He sounds like he's doing big things. But shout out to CS Partners and Novi, Navi. They giving me all these like what's the right one? Michigan. Welcome to the first timers to the AP and New Principles Academy. And if this is your first time and you are an administrator, it doesn't matter if you're a veteran. We call it new because I just wanted to really draw in new principles, APs. But the fact of the matter is we're relevant for anybody in leadership, right? We're relevant for a superintendent. A superintendent can grow as a district leader by tuning in to these live broadcasts or watching the video, which is where most people watch this, watching the videos on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube in particular, and LinkedIn, right? So I call it AP and New Principles Academy because my focus in my work beyond this platform is APs and new principles. That's like my core. That's my baby. So but again, if you're a veteran, you've been a principal for 20 years, get on here. This is for you too. Right. So welcome to the first timers. If this is your first time, don't let it be your last time. Go to YouTube at AP and New Principles Academy. Hit the subscribe button. Once again, AP and New Principles Academy, hit the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button. And then once you hit that, the notification bell will pop up. Hit that too. And that way you'll be informed every time I go live, right? So on this channel, I got more than one channel. I think I got 4 channels. But for that one, for this one, this is the one in question. There's another one called Principal Kafele Speaks. If you ever get bored and you just want to look at me keynoting and doing interviews and all that, go to Principal Kafele Speaks. Subscribe to that one as well. That's if you get bored. You may not feel like, but I mean, if you go into them other sites watching stuff, then come to Principal Kafele Speaks too. Hit the subscribe button there, and you'll see me doing keynotes and motivational talks and interviews and all that kind of stuff. That's all on Principal Kafele Speaks. I've never talked about that channel on this platform ever. I don't know why I did today, but I did. So again, welcome to the first timers. Be sure to like and follow the AP and New Principles Academy Facebook page. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that page. I'm in limbo right now because it's I don't like it. I got 10,000 followers on that page. Hang on. Got 10,200 to be exact. We got 22,800 on the YouTube channel. 22,800 subscribers. We got 10,000 on the Facebook page, but I don't like the page. I really don't like it. I don't. I got to figure out what can I do with that page to distinguish it from my personal page, right? Not just doing the Sunday commentary, which I'm not even consistent with because I'm usually drained on Sunday, and you got to take it down sometime. But I got to figure something out. But in the meantime, something will be done. So make sure that you like and follow the AP and New Principles Academy Facebook page. I'm back doing YouTube shorts, I've been telling y'all. So make sure that you look out every Wednesday. I'm doing a short. I don't know what time. It's different times, whatever I'm free, but it's only 60 seconds, right? So, and I'm usually doing them in one take. So you know how when you see videos and when people edit it because it chops up. I don't do that, man. We just gonna go straight through, just like I do here, right? So check those out. You can go to the YouTube channel, AP and New Principles Academy, click the Shorts tab, and you'll see every short I've ever done. I got a lot of them on there, right? But you'll also see the most recent one. So make sure you do that. My School Leadership Institute. July 15 and 16 in Raleigh, North Carolina, man. We're gonna be 2 full days. July 15 and 16 will be in Raleigh, and we're just talking leadership. Someone said to me, I was at a conference the other day. They said, "I heard you got your own conference, Kafele." I said, "Man, come on, man. I've been doing this for like 7 years. It's just me. It's no breakout sessions to see other people. It's just me, right? It's July 15 and 16. All I'm going to be talking about this year is instructional leadership. That's it. Instructional leadership for 2 days. You join me at breakfast, instructional leadership. You join me at breakfast, we'll talk about your, whatever your challenges are. You join me at lunch, we talk about your challenges. You join me at dinner, we talk about your challenges. But from 9 to 4, we talking instructional leadership, right? Instructional leadership. The topic, you already know. What is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise? Once again, what is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise? Go to principalcafele.com, principalcafele.com. Once again, principalcafele.com. Scroll down, click the link for registering for the School Leadership Institute with Principal Cafele. Just click the link, register, and I'll see you in Raleigh. We're going to pray for no hurricanes, because the reason we didn't do it last year in person, we had to do it virtually, because on the first day that I was to be there, here came that hurricane, right? In Houston, that's where we were. So we decided we ain't going back to Houston. Not that we picked a good spot as far as hurricanes, because Raleigh is also in the eye of the storm a lot. But we're going to take our chances. So Raleigh, North Carolina. Let me show y'all something, man. Yesterday was Black Friday, right? That's what they call it. So let me show you something. Here we go. Bam. What is my value to the teachers? To the teachers I supervise. Let me start that over. What is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise? Get yourself a copy, man. You can go to Amazon and come. We got 2 weeks. I wrote this book in May, man. This is rapid fire. I wrote it in May, 18 days consecutive, 50,000 words. Now it's a book, right? It's actually printed now. I think I've been in Vegas all week. I think I got some copies at home, but they said they were going to send me some advanced copies. So I probably got some copies sitting in the mailbox. But get yourself a copy. Go to Amazon, order your copy now, pre-order. That way you get your copy as soon as it comes off. No, it's off the presses probably. But as soon as it's released on December 16, you're a member of Amazon Prime, you get your copy right away. Or you can go to ASCD. That's my publisher, ASCD. But get yourself a copy. I promise you, you're not going to be disappointed by this book. This is the best. This is the most important book I've ever written, right? I don't even know if there's another book in me, but this is my 14th book. And I always say, I don't know if there's another book in me, but I don't know, because I gave this everything I had. I said, I got to write a book that these universities will say, we need this book. Like the Assistant Principal 50, them universities use that big time, right? The Is My School a Better School Because I Lead It? Those universities use that big time. I need this book to be utilized in all them universities, man, all of them. I don't say this because I wrote it. I mean, I did write it, but I'm saying it because I know the content. Nobody, I'm going to say it again. Nobody, I'm going to say it one more time. Nobody should be going through grad school training to become an administrator, an AP or a principal. And typically they train you to be a principal, but you go into the AP position first. But that's a whole other gripe, right? Nobody should be going through these programs without having read this book. That's how strongly I feel about this book. Nobody should be going through this program without having read this book. What is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise? Enough said, y'all. Let me tackle this monologue right quick. I'll keep it short because I got the big time guests, man. I got the NASSP National Principal of the Year. So let me say this real quick. My topic is real basic. I hope you rested. Right now, there's 3 dots after that though, but I'm gonna stay on the left hand side of the 3 dots. I hope you rested. Now, obviously, I'm talking about during your Thanksgiving vacation. Some of you had a whole week. Others of you had a half day Wednesday and then off Thursday and Friday, depending on where you were. But whatever your break was, here's my topic. I hope you rested. Now, ... your mind. Let's say it again. I hope you rested. ... your mind. So I hope you rested your mind. What am I saying? Well, just by the fact that you were not in school, you got rest, right? I mean, you may have been cooking and carrying on. You may have been entertaining company and all that. You may have been doing all those things, right? But I got to tell you something. Your mind, you got to rest that too. See, you can't just rest physically. You got to rest mentally. You got to rest emotionally. I would dare say, I don't say this because I was a principal, but my principalship fuels this comment I want to make. I don't know that there are other jobs out here that are as demanding as the principalship. And I'm including the superintendent in that, right? I don't know, Because see, the superintendent, I mean, you could show up at the football game. You could show up at the basketball game. But if you're not there, it's not a whole lot of people are going to talk about you, right? I mean, it's better PR if you are there. But the principal, you ain't at the game. You ain't at the competition. You ain't at the extra curricular event. You're not at the community event, the meeting, the this, the that, the miss, the this, the that, right? Then the challenges in the school all day, which typically begin as soon as the doors open. And I don't mean in terms of they bad challenge. They could be, but I don't mean just that. I mean just life. Life walks into the building every day. Right. So I don't want to give the impression like, all right, I'm in a school and now y'all the opening scene to lean on me. That's not what I mean. I mean, life has walked into the building. Hundreds of young people and whatever number of staff have walked into the building, and they're bringing their lives with them. And whatever this is, whatever their lives are, their lives become a part of your life. That's how it works. And if you someone listening to me right now and you saying, not me, that's their life. I ain't on that. Well, then look, get your phone out and find get the one as Google that, right? And find some other profession to go into. Because if you got 1,000 kids in your school, that means 1,000 lives are your responsibility. But you got to know those lives. So here's my point, because I got the big time guest, man. I see soon to be Dr. Janabu C. Williams in the building. I see you, sir. Listen, I'm saying to you that you got to find time. And this is particularly if you are passionate about these babies. And I might add, if you're passionate about your staff, if you're passionate about the parents of your children, because we could love them too. We could love on them too. If you're passionate about the community upon which your school is located, then at some point, right here, you got to bring this down, baby. You got to bring that down. I know it's difficult to take this thing that you do call leadership completely out of your psyche. I know that because I lived it. I know something about that. But somehow you got to condition yourself. Somehow you got to train yourself to just bring it down, clear your thinking, clear your emotions relative to the work, because the work is coming back on Monday, right? So just put your energy, your focus, your emotions, your excitement, your enthusiasm, your passion, put that on your family. Put that on your friends, or watch this, y'all, put it on you. Because see, some of y'all, I know this. I'm going a little longer than I planned to, but y'all roll with me for a second. Some of y'all, you forget you. You forget yourself. Because you're giving, and you forget, wait a minute, there's a me inside. It's easy. When you're a principal, when you're a teacher, when you're an educator, and you got babies, you got children in the building. When I say babies, I'm going all the way up to senior year. It's easy. So let me go back to my question. My statement. I hope you rested. ... Your mind. Because if you don't rest this, man, it's easy to burn out. It's easy to lose focus. It's easy to lose interest. It's easy for your mind to drift. Like, do I really want this for the next 20 years, 30 years, whatever it is? Do I really want this? Because you haven't taken care of this. You haven't rested this. You got to rest this. You got to rest this. You got to rest it, y'all. So I hope you rested. Now, so when you come on here on Saturdays like now, like I want you in rest mode, right? Right? Like hear what's being said, but you down, right? If you stressed about something, if your job is overwhelming, I'm not going to do a whole thing. Maybe myself and my guests will talk about this. Then I hope you've got supports around you. Because I don't care how talented you are. The job is overwhelming, or at least in part. You could be highly talented, such as a national principal of the year, a state principal of the year. But it doesn't take away from the fact that this work can be overwhelming, particularly when you love young people, right? So enough said, man. I got the big time guest, and I'm ready to bring her up here. So let me just adjust my screen here. And I think it's already done for me, but let me make sure. Yeah, it is done. So let me go right here and get her right. There we go. Let me get that right too. Good morning to you, Dr. Swilley.
Good morning. Good morning.
I'm glad to have you here, man. And I know I had you in the wings a little longer than I said. We we here. Hey y'all, I got Dr. Swilley. I got the NASSP National Principal of the Year, Dr. Tracie Anderson Swilley in the building. Tell her hello, y'all. Hit her up in the chat. Let her know you that welcome her to the platform. Welcome her to the fam, right? Good to see you, Doc. I'm gonna read your bio as I do with all my guests. So bear with me, folks. We got somebody that's very accomplished on here in the area of the principalship. Dr. Tracie Anderson Swilley has over a decade of success as the principal of Fairfield Central High School. She's a transformational leader who has positively shifted the lives of her faculty and staff, and ultimately the educational system in Fairfield County schools and beyond. As a transformational leader, Dr. Swilley understands the law of replication and has many assistant principals who were promoted to principal under her guidance. Additionally, she has promoted teachers within her building to the role of assistant principal and has mentored principals throughout the state. She embodies leading by example to ensure that leaders beget leaders. Dr. Swilley most recently named the 2025 National Principal of the Year by NASSP, National Association of Secondary School Principals, has received many accolades for her astounding leadership, including the 2024 South Carolina Association of School Administrators Secondary Principal of the Year. Proclamations from Fairfield County and the town of Winsboro, the SCAA 2A Principal of the Year in 2023. So this Principal of the Year thing, y'all, ain't new to her. Unity in the Community School Administrator Award in 2023, Fairfield County Coroner Outstanding Service Award in 2021, and Believers and Achievers Award in 2015. She's committed to advancing educational and social outcomes for those around her and is a longtime member of several professional organizations. We're going to give you the acronyms such as NASSP, SCEA, SCEA, SCASA, SCAAA, and ASCD. That's my publisher, y'all. ASCD. She currently serves as SCAA 2A President, SCACA Secondary Principal Executive Committee District 2 Representative, and is a member of the Midlands Regional Educational Center Advisory Board. She is also an active member of the Richland County Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Dr. Swilley knows that everyone can achieve given the proper assistance and support, and uses data to guide her faculty and staff in best practices to improve student outcomes. She upholds the Fairfield Central motto of Griffins soaring for greatness. Griffins believe, Griffins achieve, and Griffins succeed. The mission that she carries out is modeling how to provide every student with quality teaching and learning experiences every day. Dr. Swilley resides in Columbia, South Carolina, and has two children, Jalen and Peyton, who she adores dearly. Woo! It's a lot there. And I might add, y'all, she's fam.
Yes.
Fam of the AP and New Principals Academy, man. A lot of our guests are fam, man. Someone wrote the other day, they said, man, how did this person word it? They said, when you connected to Kafele, he makes sure you have a seat at the table. That's what somebody wrote the other day. And it's true, man. It's true. Hey, you know, I got a whole script here, but I want to go off script from the beginning. You wouldn't know that unless I told you. But let me, you know, in reading the bio, you talk about this idea of replication. And I don't know why I didn't write that in my notes, probably because after I read the bio, I started writing my notes and I didn't think back on the bio. But that's important. Replication. What are you talking about when you talk about replication within the work that you under your leadership?
Well, the big thing is, will leadership last beyond you? And so when you're doing this work, the thing you don't want to do is have the work stop when you leave. And so how do you beget other leaders? How do you, empower others to continue the work when you leave? Because you're going to grow, you're going to elevate. That's natural progression if you're career oriented. But how does the work sustain itself beyond you? The work cannot just be you. And so you have to get other people involved in the work so that once you leave, your efforts are not in vain. They have to continue. And so one of my assistant principals, I think she's on this morning, Joyce Starks, helped me with that. We talk a lot about that because you can't be the I, you can't be the it to the work. You have to be able to share that work. And so that is what, I am wanting to do every single day, is allow the work to live beyond me. Because if it's just with me, then what happens when I leave?
I love it, and to the fam out there, and my mirror is in my bag, so I got to reach over there and get it in a minute. But to the fam out there, that's a great point. That's why I wanted to start it there. You may be doing a phenomenal job right now, an extraordinary job, but you're not going to be there forever.
Right.
And what are you grooming to come behind you? And see, like from the bio from Dr. Swilley, it's not just the APs being prepared for leadership, but she's tapping into teachers, right? She's tapping into teachers who can come behind her, right? Because she's not going to be there forever. None of us are going to be in these positions forever. So that replication, put that in your notes, somebody. That replication is so important. I like to think that I did a good job at that. I know I didn't use that language. Thank you, appreciate it. I know I didn't use that language, replication, but that's really the word. It's
Right.
it's one of them flaps in the near the front, right near you. So yeah, so let's go. So here you are, the NASSP 2025. Woo, Principal of the Year. And to the fam out there, when Dr. Swilley was a finalist, she was a finalist with two others. One of them is my milking brother, and then herself. And they had these videos, and I'd watch the videos, and I'm rooting from a distance, and and then here you are. They named you, so I was somebody actually sent me an email and told me, and then I went on and looked it up. I said, wow, man, good stuff. And then discovered that we were connected and all that kind of stuff. So since appreciate it. So since winning, Doc, what have you been feeling? Just curious. I want to talk about you for a few before we get into our topic. What you been feeling?
I'm still in awe. I think, when you get into the work, you don't get into the work for accolades. And so I think I'm still amazed beyond my wildest dreams. I never would have thought I would be sitting on the stage, a national stage, being recognized for the work we're doing in a small rural community. But, sometimes when you're in it, you can't see it. And it takes somebody outside saying, hey, you're doing a great job. Hey, we need to be able to share some of the best practices you have going on. Hey, and I didn't see it. And so I'm just in awe. I'm able to live out what I preach to my kids all the time of don't set any limits for yourself. And so to be able to live it out in front of them and be able to show them, I didn't come from Winsboro, South Carolina, but another small town in South Carolina, Eastover, South Carolina. And I went through some of the same things that they face now, and to show them, hey, you can achieve greatness exactly from where you are. Your zip code doesn't define you. So I'm just elated. I'm thankful for the opportunity. I'm blessed to be living my dreams. And just, still sometimes like pinch me or wake me up. Is this real? So yeah, that's kind of where it is.
Yeah, and as you just said, you can achieve greatness
Right.
no matter where you come from, no matter where your zip code. Greatness, and we hear it all the time, it's within you.
Absolutely.
Hey Doc, how's your life changed? It's been a short period of time. You still got that whole year coming, but I've got to imagine that there have been some shifts in your life already. How's your life changed since you've earned this award?
Well, it's been busier. I listened to you as you introed, and the high school principal or any principalship can become, all consuming in life. But I kind of thought I was tapped in, but these last couple of weeks has been woo of everybody wanting to speak to you and talk to you. But it's kind of becoming manageable now. But I have a lot of things kicking off in the spring. But I have to kind of make certain that I center around, we still got a school to run. There's some things going on here. So it's just been exciting, taking the opportunity to, connect, build relationship, build opportunities for not only myself, but others, so that we can continue to make greatness happen each and every day. So it's been a lot, but thankfully, with the support of my village, the support of my outstanding staff, my students, my personal village, it's been manageable and all good. Yeah.
Yeah, when you accepted my invite, I was a little nervous over the past couple of weeks, because I said, man, they might call her to do something on Saturday and she's gonna have to do it. So I always have a solo. Like when you sing, you always got to have a song ready, because you don't know when you're gonna be called. Well, I have a solo I got about 2 hours of a solo, so that if something were ever to happen, I can go solo on this. So as a matter of fact, it's funny how this worked, because I'm booked solid until next October, but I left November 30 open to do a solo, because because I'm here in Vegas, my wife's birthday. I didn't know where we were gonna stay yet, what the Wi-Fi would be, and then you win. Like, man, I got that November 30, man. And it just worked out for me. It really worked out. It was like a blessing. One could look at it spiritually, right? But yeah, it's good stuff. Doc, when I won the Milken Award in 2009, December 1st, 2009, internally, nobody said this to me, but internally, I felt like I have more responsibility now. I have a bigger obligation. I can't win this award and shrink, right? I got this award now. People know I got this award because the media covered it. What am I going to do more than what I'm already doing, which I thought was a lot, right? My question to you, in these early months of you being the national secondary principal of the year, do you feel what I felt like? Man, I got a spotlight on me now. Like I gotta elevate. What are you feeling with that?
Oh, most definitely. I'm currently working on working and establishing my LLC. But my whole thing is, we have to continue to cultivate strong schools. And how do we do that? We do it working with principals, one principal at a time. So my obligation is to work with schools that look like mine, schools that don't look like mine, schools that the leaders, women in leadership, African American women in leadership, minorities in leadership. Like it's so many different subgroups that I want to work with, just to be able to show them, great things can happen wherever you are. So I feel like I have the opportunity, especially to speak for the small rural schools that are making it happen each and every day for our students, because we can't leave any kid behind, because every kid is essential to the student achievement that we're trying to gain. So oftentimes people look and say, what are you doing, or how do you do it? We look for every kid and how we take care of every kid, literally, because our school depends on it. So absolutely, I'm empowered, motivated, trying to get all the thoughts together, establish all of the things while being a mother and a principal. So talking even to women in leadership with families, like how do you balance that? So yes, a whole lot of different aspects that I want to tap into. But yes, I have to do more now with this platform. You can't just win and hide. Now that you have it, let's do the work.
Yeah. I feel like the deltas are coming strong on this on this delta right here. It's yeah, y'all showing up big this morning. I see you. I see you.
Absolutely.
You know, let's talk about Dr. Tracie Anderson Swilley before the principalship. Who were you in education before you became principal?
I was a math teacher. So I started off in mathematics education after an experience in college where I had a professor who taught me the why of mathematics. And I said, math never came easy for me. I struggled. And so it was not until college that he taught me the why. And I said, wait, I got to teach somebody else kid that. And I shouldn't have to wait till college to get it. And so I started off as a math teacher and then, tapped in with some assistant principals, helping with some data crunching for testing, moved into the assistant administrator. So I was still teaching and doing administrative duties. Then I had the opportunity to return to my high school alma mater as the dean of students, where my middle school principal actually hired me and worked with him, became assistant principal of curriculum and instruction for 6 years. And then I got the principalship at Fairfield Central, and I've been here for this is year 12 now.
Year 12. Wow. Wow. Shout out to Dr. Kenneth King. I got on the screen. This is the man that gave me my start, man. I give nothing but respect, praise, and respect to this man every time I see his name, right, on social media and so forth. He's the one that opened the door for me to be a substitute teacher, a teacher, a assistant principal, a principal, right? He kept my ego in check, and which is a whole nother story. That's a chapter in the book, man.
Right.
So but hey, shout out Dr. King. I'm glad to see you. My wife said you were on here one of the other days, and I didn't see your name, but I said I see you this time. Dr. King probably said you don't have to be highlighting me every time you see me, but that's what I do, man. That's what I do. Let's go. So as you know, let's go back to your teacher years, or subsequent to that. At what point did you know that I want to be a principal?
Well, I didn't know. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't know, but that's why it's very important that your village around you recognize, as we talked about a little bit ago, the greatness in you before you see it in yourself. And so I would say, to the assistant principal, Sabrina Super, she tapped me on the shoulder and she was like, hey, I think you ought to try administration. And I said, really? And I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. That was the dark side, so to speak. And so I really didn't. But when I began to do the work, my whole thing began to, how can I impact at the next level? How can I broaden my reach even more? And I knew administration was the next step. But after being the API, and really now your assistant principal of curriculum and instruction, they run in the school, I'm gonna be honest with you. And so after I did that, I was passionate about, hey, I see this data. Hey, I see these ideas. Hey, I can pitch these ideas, but I think I want to do it myself. I want to run my own building. I want to see how I can navigate the way and see if it really works in transforming the school. And so I will say my principal at the time, when I was assistant principal, tapped me. He said, hey, I think you ought to apply to be the principal at Fairfield Central High School. And I said, they're not going to hire me. I was brand new, 30 years old. I was like, yeah, I don't know about that. And sure enough, I applied for it, got the opportunity, interviewed, and the rest is history. So I don't think I ever just woke up and said I wanted to be a principal, but I think the village around me and you're in the right position allowed and afforded me the opportunity to do the work that was assigned for my life. And so my purpose became fulfilled in the work that I do, based on a path that I didn't even know was being rolled out for me. But just walking in your purpose, walking in your why, wanting to reach and impact children, has always been my passion. And so luckily the village around me, tapped into me before I knew it. And, the way's been made.
Yeah. Now, this question is for probably more the aspiring folks out there listening, including APs. Once you made the decision that, yeah, I think I'm going to pursue this, and you go on to grad school. Talk to us about the level of confidence that you had that you could go in there and lead at a high level, or the lack thereof, or whatever's in between.
So look, I will definitely be honest about that. The confidence in your ability, again, for me, is not one that I saw in myself. I knew that I was willing to put in the work. I knew that I was dedicated. I knew that no one was going to outwork me. That was something my parents instilled in me, that my work ethic was going to be, no matter how long it took, I'm going to get there early, I'm going to stay late. So I knew that no one could outwork me, but I still didn't know that I had it in me to lead. And then the biggest part of that in working with other leaders are, do you have the leadership that others will follow? Because you can be a great leader, but if nobody's following you, that won't work out either. So I don't think, I think it was, again, the love for learning that pushed me after the nudge was given by people in my village. And then working with others, collaboration, that is my biggest leadership style trait. Is I love working with others. And so getting in there, doing the work, and then seeing it. But I will say, even now, sometimes you have to get that encouragement and that vote of confidence from others. So I never walked into any role saying that, oh yeah, I got this. But I did walk in knowing that I was equipped with everything I needed to succeed. So I knew that, with the right structure, with the right guidance, with the right support, we were going to be successful. That was not an option. And so, learning early, my parents taught me excuses are reasons for failure, and failure is simply not an option. And so that has been my mantra for how I do my work, how I live my life. That's something I say to my kids. And we make it happen. So, when I went into the major, it was about learning, continuing to grow and get better. But it wasn't that I knew I was going to be a successful leader, but I knew I was equipped with everything that I needed in order to be successful. So putting yourself in a position to elevate, to be ready when the opportunity comes. Because now, listen, I didn't get my first principalship that I applied for, nor my first assistant principalship that I applied for. And so understanding through that, I had a great person who tapped me on his shoulder and said, hey, it's not what happens when you get the job, it's what happens when you don't get the job that matters. And so I learned early on, how to grow from failure. And so, the first job didn't come. Okay. But then I had to humble myself and go back and say, hey, what can I continue to grow and improve on to be ready when the next opportunity arises? And that was hard because, you felt like you were ready. You felt like you were most qualified, but then you got the no. And so I had to humble myself and go back and say, how can I continue to grow? How can I continue to be ready? And they were like, you're ready. It's just, in this particular role, this was the person that was the fit. And we went in this direction. But just keep working, keep grinding. Your time is coming. And it wasn't long that the next opportunity came, and it was for me. And so, what is for you is for you. But I say, always remain humble, always be, ready to learn. Always recognize that even in failure, there's a growth opportunity and a lesson. And then, could keep, putting in the work, and the benefits and the dividends will pay out eventually. But the first couple of times were not yes. And it brought some disappointment. But then again, that village, that support system to encourage you, continue to motivate you, and then you continue to do the work, and your opportunity will come.
That everything you said was so rich. There's a lot. We don't even. I could take this script and put it for another time, because there's so much that you said. But let me focus on two. You said even in failure, there's a growth opportunity. See, in the work that I do, I hear from a lot of people. I get a ton of inboxes from people, and that's not a complaint. that's just my reality, and I welcome it because it goes back to what I said about the milking award. I had to elevate, right? So I get a lot of emails, I get a lot of inboxes from people, but they don't send me things saying things are going great. They send me whatever those challenges are that they're dealing with, and and what you said is a response. In failure, in challenges, in hardship, right? There's a growth opportunity. My security guard, my security officer, my head security officer at my last school, he would come to me all the time. We got a problem with this. We got a problem with that. I said, no, we don't. I said, you got to change your thinking, right? You got to change that. You've been saying this probably your whole life. These are not problems. These are opportunities. So he literally shifted. And he also was a baseball coach. So he took that into the baseball team. No, these are not problems if we're losing these games. If we miss this play, whatever it was, these are opportunities to get better. I got to ask you to do this for me. Talk to the aspiring people, well, even the veterans. Go deeper. What do you mean when you say that there's an opportunity in a problem? Because somebody's sitting at home right now like, oh my God, man, this is overwhelming. Like, I got to go back on Monday and, man, all this stuff that's coming from all these different directions. How do you take them words and make that person feel differently?
Listen, I think anything, one of the biggest things is anything worth having is worth working for. And so if you think everything's just going to kind of roll out to you and it's going to be served on a platter, yeah, that's not education. That's not the world in which we live. But even in those moments, you have to look for the opportunities to grow. What can I learn from this situation? What can I do better? What can I change? And then what is the growth situation here that we can look for? So it is how you look on things. So sometimes people come to me and they'll bring me a lot of things. They'll say that about, oh, we got this big vaping problem. Look, if that's the issue we have right now, I'm thankful for it because I've talked to some principals and their problems are totally outweigh this. So let's see how we can tackle this particular problem. So looking at it and keeping it in focus on what can you do to directly impact this particular child or this particular situation or this particular problem or this particular adult. There's always that rainbow in there that you can get for, but you have to have that mindset. Yeah. So I think it's the whole shift of your mindset. That was one of my early works of looking at the growth mindset versus fixed mindset, and always looking for an opportunity to grow. Don't look at the always with the optimistic outlook of how can I make it better? Complaining about it is not going to make it better. So how can I make it better? What can I do in every situation? So even to all the aspiring assistant principals and principals, whoever, what can you do each and every day to make your situation better? Or what can you do? That's the question. Our guiding question for this year is, how am I going to impact the lives of our students and our community? How are you going to use whatever this issue is to impact positively your community? I tell my teachers, my staff, don't come to me with problems without possible solutions.
Yeah. We're
in this thing together. So a lot of times I used to try to put all those monkeys on my back and fix them and carry it. And that's heavy. And so in every situation, I just choose to look at how can I change the narrative of this particular situation? We all go through things. And so sometimes people, hate on you because they think your life is great. But I choose to shine the light on the things that are great in my life. That doesn't mean I don't have problems. So in every aspect of who you are, is how can you shift or take the positive out of every opportunity that you have, because it's there. Now, sometimes you have to dig for it. Yeah. But I look for the positive in every situation, and then the spin move that I can put on something to make it better. So that's what we have to do.
And key to what you just said, it's there. But sometimes, we so in the moment.
Right.
But you just said you got to dig for it, And then the other thing that you had said earlier when you were responding to the initial question, you said you don't go in there with that attitude of I got this, right? And I'm like you, like anybody that knows me knows that I do bring confidence to what I do,
Right.
right? In fact, I bring a level of anticipation to what I do. I bring a level of expectation in terms of the successes to what I do. But I'm not going in there with this cocky attitude that I got this. So like I've given, like in that intro, I've given over 3,000 presentations in my lifetime, right? But there's never a time, I don't care who the audience is, how much love is in the room, I never approach that platform with this mindset, oh, I got this.
Right.
I sit there in my quiet space and I ask God to just give me what I need, even though I prepared to be there. I'm prepared for the presentation. God, give me what I need. Give me the strength to get through this at a high level. You know, I'm having that conversation, right? Because I know that I'm going to be at my best if I approach it that way, as opposed to going up there. Oh, I got this, man. Let me step up there. You know, that. So as a principal, to make it relevant for our guests now, our fam now, it's the same thing when I walk in that building every day. I'm walking in there with a prayer.
Right.
Then I'm asking my secretary, did you pray for me? I took care of you early this morning, right? So talk to us about that mindset, Doc, about going in there. I got this versus the humility to lead young people and staff.
Well, you done tap the area for me now, because I'm a preacher's kid now. So
Yeah.
but I will take it all the way back to the interview process. I had to change my prayer. Okay. So my prayer, even going into the interviews, began to be, let me go into this interview being the best version of me. Let me show myself or showcase myself to the best of my ability. And then the outcomes, I just want peace with, and I'm able to show my best self in this interview. I didn't pray for the outcome. I didn't pray to get the job. I prayed to show my best self in the interview. So that transforms into my day-to-day. I start my day with my meditation. I start my day with my positive affirmation. And then when I walk in this building, my goal each and every day is to pour into the lives of others as I would want somebody to pour into my life or pour into my children's life. So I tell my kids when they walk in this door, their last name is Swilley till they go back home to their parents. And I believe that. My staff, I want to pour into them, be there for them. And then I pray for the strength to be able to do what I'm supposed to do that day. Like, I want to be able to do the work that is called for me that day, walk in my why, walk in my purpose, and then go home with peace of, I did what I was supposed to do that day, on to the next. But I had to change my thought, because then you set yourself up for disappointment. When you walk into a room and like, I got this, and then you don't get it, you start to question you. And so, my whole prayer began to be, let me be the best version of me each and every day. My competition is only with me. I can only get better than me. So it's me versus me, not me versus you. That's why I'm good with collabing with other people, because I don't feel like I got the competitive energy, because you can't be me and I can't be you. And so that's the whole mindset shift that I had to undertake, because after disappointment, when you set yourself up and say, yeah, I got this. This is mine. Or people telling you, this is your job, because that happened to me. People were like, this is your job. This is your job. And then I didn't get the job. It was like, dog, what's wrong with me? But it wasn't me. That wasn't where I needed to be. And so that's the shift that I had to take of, let me be the best version of me each and every day. And my competition is only with myself. That's it.
See, every response you give is a whole question. I can take the script, man. Let's stay there for a second. Hey y'all, we got a whole topic to get to, y'all. Y'all hang with us. Hit the share button, hit the retweet button, the repost button, tag somebody, tag them Facebook groups out there, them leadership pages, text somebody, call somebody, let them know we here, man. We here. I'm live in Vegas early in the morning. Listen, it's a lot you said there. Competition. I ain't never been in competition with a principal.
Right.
See, in my mind, we allies.
Yes.
If we want to push each other, that's fine. I ain't got no problem with that. But I ain't trying to like outdo you. That's not beneficial.
Absolutely.
Right. It's and then I'm in the speaker world, consultant world. There's a lot of competition in this thing.
Yeah.
Right? And I read about it. I see it on social media. I'm like, man, sometimes I gotta call some of these folks. Like, come on, man. We ain't in competition. Because at the end of the day, unless we have the same resume,
Right.
the same receipts, you can't compete with somebody. Like my receipts are my receipts. My resume is my resume. You haven't done what I did, or I haven't done what you did. So we ain't competing. You in your lane.
Right.
I'm in my lane. And I'm just trying to get better at what I do in my lane. But I see you, and I like what you're doing. I appreciate what you're doing, but I ain't trying to win no race against you, right? So to the young heads out there, if you see somebody, yo, I got to get better than them, then you ain't in this for the right reason. Go play basketball. Like, this ain't no game, man. This is life or death, for that matter. So I'm saying all that, Doc. How does a leader keep their focus on the main thing and not be distracted by distractions, including competition perceived that's out there?
Right. And I tell people that all the time. Like, you have to center yourself and center your focus. What's your why? So if you don't know your reasons for what you're doing, I'm here every day to provide opportunities for these students so that every kid, when they leave Fairfield Central High School, has the opportunity to make a choice on what they do with their life. Not, I have to do this, or I gotta do this because I don't have any other options. That's my goal every day. And so I don't have time to worry about what you think of me or what you don't think of me. I just want people to understand, hey, respect the fact that we're here for the work. If it's not about the children, it's not personal. This is business. I'm here to impact the lives of children. If you're here for the same reason, then let's join on one accord about that.
Yeah.
But all this competition, it's enough out here for all of us to be successful. It's enough work to be done for everybody. And sometimes it's frustrating that you want to kind of shrink and stay to yourself because you don't even want to entertain the energy. But, I had to learn those things that are for me, and no one can do them but me. And so at the end of the day, people may want to stifle you or put the lid on it or whatever, but what is for me, no one can block, stop, because it's already been predestined. And so it's just for me to do. So I want to encourage other people to figure out your niche and be able to walk in your purpose and your why, but also collaborate. The part of this that has been so uplifting has been those who have reached out and say, hey, I want to meet with you, or hey, I want to talk with you, or hey, I want to pick your brain over some ideas, because that's who I am. Like, that fuels me, and I am going to learn from you just as much as I learn from other people or share with other people. So I'm mentoring some principals now, but guess what? When I walk into their school, I don't walk in saying, oh, let me share with them what I do. I'm in there stealing ideas too. Oh, this is great. I'm about to take this back to my school.
How about that?
So how do you keep the learning growing, the energy growing, if you think you've learned it all, or if you think you've done it all? And so, the competition that's out there, I love to switch that word to, I'm not in competition. I'm all about collaboration. How can we work together? How can we navigate this space that now me and you together just became 2 times smarter versus, us trying to compete against each other? Now you just dwindle what aspect we could have brought to the table. But to be able to collaborate with others, nobody is smarter than all of the persons in the room gathered together. And so, my whole mantra with that is lead where you're strong, team where you're weak. Lead where you're strong, team where you're weak. No one can walk, like you said, you can't walk in my journey. You haven't been the principal of Fairfield Central for 12 years. You haven't done this particular role, but I haven't been in New Jersey. I haven't walked those halls. And so how do you tell your story and navigate what you have done. Use your story to elevate your platform, but you don't have to negate no one else's. So blowing out somebody else's candle is not going to make yours shine any brighter.
Woo.
Absolutely not.
Wow. There's a whole nother.
I told you I was a preacher kid.
I know you dropping diamonds, man. Every response you give, you know, it's interesting, Doc. You know, like I go to conferences a lot, and I speak at a lot of conferences. I didn't want to say that, but I got to say it to make the point I'm gonna make. And I'll see fellow speakers that I know, and I'll say, you know, I finished my session, or if I did the keynote, whatever it is, I'll say, let's go check out some breakout sessions, right? And sometimes more than I like, if folks are kind of look at me sideways, like I spoke. Well, I want to go to a breakout session, because you don't know everything that's going on in these rooms. That's why. You know your stuff. I know my stuff. But like you said, I'm going in somewhere else to learn from them now. Like I was teacher. They gave me that hour. I was teacher, right? I got applause for it. But now the applause is over. I'm not catching no jet right away unless I just have to. I'm going. I always look at the agenda. I don't know if people do this. A lot of people do this where they'll go through the whole agenda, all in breakout sessions. Let me see where's something I could learn something, right? And then I go, and then I'm there. People see me, they know, or they know I was a kid. Man, why are you going to breakouts? People literally ask me that. Why are you here? Why are you in a breakout? I said, because I want to learn. I'm a student now. They gave me an hour to be teacher. Now I want these next 3-4 hours to be student. I want to learn, right? So that's so important. And I don't have a problem saying it. And I'm going to borrow some of what they said. They didn't say it to keep it. They said it to give it away.
Right.
That's like when people ask me all the time, Confetti, why are you giving all that free content with the becoming a professional speaker and becoming a best-selling author? Because it's not meant for me to hoard. Right. And it's not meant for me to sell to somebody either. It's I put it out there so that others could benefit from it. Absolutely. So you triggered that. Let me. Hey, folks, we're gonna transition now. We're gonna get into some content here. we ain't content, right? But I do have some notes here, right? Mm-hmm. We ain't really covering my notes yet. Hey, Doc, it's you probably know this. My main obsession is the assistant principalship. Mm-hmm. I say the assistant principalship is the most misunderstood and underutilized position in all of education. So let me give you this scenario. Mm-hmm. You may know my background, though many people on here do. It was not a good one in high school as far as academically. I'm dealing with stuff, and I spent 5 years in high school, 4 different schools. Hey, Mom, I'm telling it all. She's on here, and it was just rough, right? So graduated with probably a 1.5. And spent the next 5 years of nothingness, and then got it together after those 10 years accumulated and graduated summa cum laude. So here's my point. I say this every time I'm out speaking. There's a young Principal Kafele sitting in every classroom that's represented on my thread right now. If you're in leadership and if you're in education and you're on my thread, because there's quite a few of y'all on here right now, there's a young Principal Kafele in your rooms. Now, what do I mean by that? Some grossly underperforming youngster who has the potential to do whatever she conceptualizes that she wants to do. I'm an author of 14 books. I'm in 2 Hall of Fames. I got a day named after me in Texas. I'm a turnaround principal, right? I'm a teacher of the year at the building, district, and county levels in New Jersey state finals. All that's in me, not to mention the 150 plus awards I've achieved. All that's in me, but I'm that young Principal Kafele that's in somebody's classroom failing everything. So here's my point. Let me say it again. Everything, including PE and health, right? So now, young Principal Kafele sitting in a classroom of a teacher that is supervised by an AP, an assistant principal, who is steeped in discipline and never, ever has an opportunity to walk into a classroom and be a coach of a teacher in the classroom and outside of the classroom as coach. Here's my question to you now. I gave you that long soliloquy, man. my question to you, Doc. What is the role of the principal to ensure that the AP is the instructional leader that young Principal Kafele needs for him or her to be, so that I know that I'm in a classroom with a teacher that's on top of his or her game? Floor is yours.
Listen, that was a lot in that.
I know.
And I will tell you, my first couple of years, I didn't do that right.
Neither did I.
I didn't do that right. I'm working with my APs. My APs, kind of did what I did. We were the foot soldiers. When I was an AP, I did all the books, buses, and butts. That's the things that I did. But, along this journey, I realized that the AP, if they truly aspire to be the principal, need to have some of those principal experiences in order to be prepared for the opportunity. And I say that to say the principal now has transformed. The expectation is no longer managerial. The expectation of the principal now is instructional leader. How is the principal impacting instruction? And so as the principal, I can't be the only impactor of instruction. And what I figured out over time was, if we were in the classrooms, we had the opportunity to impact some of that discipline. We had the opportunity to prevent some of those referrals from even coming to the office that would tie up the administration. We had the opportunity to nudge that kid who was not participating or not engaged, to get them engaged or sit by them, or to have that conversation even before the teacher deemed that it was a conversation. We had the ability to now observe teachers and then say to the teachers, have that true, raw, honest conversation of, hey, I get why little Johnny is distracted or not engaged, because this is boring. You just got to be honest. I rarely come. So this kid is expected to come where I come, on the rotation, but this kid is expected to come every day for 90 minutes and receive what? Or you never called on them. You never engaged the kid. So my whole role became, as the principal, to empower my APs to do what I do. So we have our own instructional observation rotation, where my assistant principals and myself, we make certain that every week we see every teacher in our building, but we split that up. And then we come back and we calibrate and we discuss, hey, what did you see? What was your concerns? What are the issues? And they were like, well, maybe we want to check this teacher out. So I'll go back and I'll see, okay, did we see the same day, or was that just an off day? And then we utilize that to provide the professional development opportunities, because now we're in the classroom. And so we know what the teachers need to be able to grow instructionally. And when you can impact the teacher instructionally, you're going to change the trajectory of a young person that's sitting in that desk in that classroom. Because when you can get a teacher to engage all kids, not just some, when you can get them to engage all kids, then you make the shift. But also then you begin to understand the viewpoint of that kid that's the reluctant learner. And so now how can I pull that kid? Now how can I do one-on-one with that kid? How can I work with this teacher to work with the kid? Because it's good if the kid responds to me, but I'm not going to be able to sit in that class each and every day. So how can I work with that particular kid and that teacher to establish a relationship such that learning can happen when I'm not present? And so that became the big deal for us. My principals now do the same thing evaluation-wise as I do as a principal. So they have to come to me with their goal. What do they want to accomplish as an assistant principal? And what strategies are they going to take to achieve them? We do our pre-conference, we do our mid-year conference, we check the status. As the young principal, I will tell you, I tried to put that S on my chest and do it all, and I could not. And so I've empowered them. They have their graduation rate notebooks that they start from their grade level, looking at every 9th grader, 10th grader, 11th grader, 12th grader. there's no kid that goes untapped in this building. And so how do we empower them? You give them the same opportunities as the principal. I don't hide anything from my APs. They can see the budget. They can work with the budget. They do the interviews. They work with staffing. All of the experiences of the principal, so that it's not overwhelming when they do sit in the seat, because my goal is for them to sit in the seat. And so, empowering them to be able to, and I've already put my order in for the book. You gotta be able to impact the teacher instructionally. But also, first things first, this is one of your topics, and I steal this from you all the time. The culture and climate has to be right. And not just the culture and climate in the school, but that culture and climate in the classroom for learning to take place. And then the principal Kafele that's sitting in that desk, you're going to be able to identify them quickly, and you're going to be able to do those wraparound supports and be able to nurture that kid and show them opportunity. And sometimes that opportunity may even be that, we got to change some things, and you may have to do a non-traditional type of scenario for this kid to be able to reach the full potential that is, there. I tell my kids all the time, I see greatness in you that you don't yet see in yourself. And it's our responsibility to help them bring it out. And so, empowering your APs to be able to do the same thing as the principal, but also making certain that we tackle that instructional piece, because without that, you'll stick to books, butts, and buses. And you'll have a well-managed school, but that student achievement will not thrive in those buildings.
I said there. Hey, folks. Hey, principals, I got the mirror. My wife ran and got it for me. Hey, that assistant principal, it reports to you. Are you comfortable with that person is the instructional leader that the young principal Kafeles that sit in your classroom, that underperforming youngster with the capacity to achieve whatever? Are you confident that AP is that coach of that teacher? I might even ask, as principal is watching right now, what about you? Are you that coach that teacher needs, right? In order for young principal Kafele to not fall through the cracks. It matters. You sent me some talking points, and I wanna jump on them. You said, and I couldn't fit every character, so I'm gonna read the part here, and then I'll read the rest from my notes here. You said school culture and climate, two totally different aspects, but essential to creating an environment conducive to learning. If the environment is not right, there will not be significant increase to student achievement nor sustainability. My first question is simply, what are you telling us?
Look, if the environment is not right for a plant won't grow. All right. So what can we expect for a child? What can we expect for your leaders, your teachers, if the environment is not right? So a lot of times, you walk into a school and you want to immediately tackle the student achievement. But if, as you would say, if the mood is not right in that building, if the lifestyle is not right in that building, your norms, you're not going to be able to get that growth. Or even if you get it, it won't be sustainable. And so my whole focus in coming in was, how do we create a level of expectation for our kids? So when I arrived at Fairfield Central, I was the fourth principal that senior class had seen in 4 years. And so their whole thing was, let's see how long she gonna last. And so their statement to me was, welcome to the field. What do you expect? I expect greatness. I expect excellence. I don't expect perfection, because perfection is not a true goal, but I expect excellence. And I had to let them see it. No one ever rises to low expectations. So we had to set the bar high. Okay, we know that we are better than 76% of graduates. We're capable of doing that, but we needed systems in place to be able to change what was happening. We had to make certain that everybody understood that their role was essential to our success as a school. So there's no hierarchy between the custodian, the cafeteria lady, the bus driver, the assistant principal, the teacher, the registrar, none of that. Everybody's role was essential to our school. And then when you walk through those doors, how does it feel in that building? Like, I think elementary is the time where every kindergarten is excited about coming to school. But by the time they hit ninth grade, nobody's excited anymore. And so my whole goal was to make high school fun. That's a presentation I've done a lot is, high school can be fun. And so, as I tell my staff, we're here more than we're at the homes that we pay mortgages for. Okay. So I want us to be able to enjoy the time that we have here and the lives that we're able to impact. And so, making certain that you create an environment that is conducive to learning is priority number one. So I tell teachers, no student will be able to impede your ability to teach. That's my problem. All right. So I'm going to create an environment that your instruction is the main thing. Now, when you close that door to your classroom, you also have to create a culture and environment of expectation and learning. And so I'm going to help you, and we're going to together maintain that whole class, a whole school. And then when you close your door, you have the responsibility of maintaining that culture and climate. So being consistent in your practices. Not being that person that, I'm in a good mood today, and so we're going to do this, or I'm in a bad mood today, and we're going to do this, but being consistent, following your procedures, following your policies, and then, you'll get that respect. You'll be able to build those healthy relationships that sustain over long term, and look for the opportunities for those quick wins to shift that culture of low expectations to only challenging expectations. And so that was the biggest thing that we had to tackle first, was creating an environment that was going to be conducive to learning at all times. And it is not something you could just fix and never refer to it again. You have to constantly maintain the pulse of the culture and climate in your building in order to make success occur and continue to occur.
I love it. And as you quoted me, climate, culture, everything. Everything, somebody. I got to follow up, but I would be remiss if I didn't go back to Val Foster here, which her comment ties into everything you just said and the topic that we're on right now. With all the observations, when and where does the modeling for teachers take place? So my interpretation before I throw it over to you is that Val is saying, I got so much on my plate. When do I get to be this other component of who you suggest I be? How would you respond to Val Foster?
Listen, the work is going to be there. All right. So I had to learn how to make the time. Okay. When something is important to you, you will make the time. And so I had to do some structural things in my building of creating some first responders so that everything did not fall into the principal's desk. I had to train my classified staff on how to say things like, because you don't want to come off as you're unapproachable now. You don't want to do that. But I had to, protect the opportunity that I had from 8:30 to 3:30 to shape the lives of those classrooms, to shape the lifestyles of those classrooms, because I couldn't do that after work. So I could answer emails after work. I could return phone calls after work, but I could not impact teaching and learning after work. And so I had to learn to, train my secretaries of, hey, Dr. Swilley would love to meet with you. However, she is in a classroom right now. So at this point, I got this person who can answer your question right now, and then she will follow up back with you should she need to further assist you. But right now, she's in the classroom, making certain that quality teaching and learning occurs for every student every day. I had to get my APs to do that same thing, because what we learned was, if we are in the classrooms, again, we prevent some of these fires from occurring that were continuing to pop off. And, we were able to identify some of the issues that we were having instructionally before they became massive and impact the data. So structuring your day so that you make the main thing your priority Scheduling it, I put it on my calendar so that even things outside of my building would not come in and interfere with what I was needing to get done. Now, the quickest thing, now I'm gonna tell you, it didn't happen overnight. All right. It took me about 3 good years to figure out how to navigate that. And I'm still working on that, even more so now. But once I was able to chunk out that time, then I was able to identify and plan. So the model that we have is pre-conferencing with our teachers, observing, and then post-conferencing. And during that opportunity, I was able to let the teacher be a reflection, reflect on what they thought was great and what they thought needed some refinement. And then we were able to tag team it from there. Then, the modeling of best practices can look different. It can be by period planning meetings that we offer professional development. It can be co-teaching with the teacher, and it doesn't always have to be you that does that modeling. So maybe I see that a teacher needs some assistance with questioning, and I did not have a great teacher over here who does questioning. What I had to learn how to do was make the schedule work so that I could pull this teacher who had a great questioning, tag team this teacher with the one that needed support, and make that happen. So the modeling for teachers was not always me, but also tapping the other teacher leaders in my building who have mastered this particular area that teacher needs support in, and making that connection, whether it be during their planning periods, whether it be me taking the opportunity to provide a professional learning day for the learning and partnership to occur during that time, during the school day. Figuring out what works in your building. But the main thing I had to learn was some of the things that I was spending the time of the day on could be done after school hours. But you can't impact that classroom after school hours. You've missed that mark. And so being able to protect that time was priority one.
All I can say to that is amen.
Yeah.
And the way you just closed it, protecting your time, just like you would protect anything of value to you in your life, whether it be people, your children, your partner, value possessions that you have, you protect them. Well, you got to protect your time. And as was said, you can't, there's a lot of things that could be done after school. A lot of times we think about the fact that we put in all these hours, but as I said in my monologue, you want to make sure that you've got that harmony and balance in your life. But the bottom line is, if you're going to be a principal, you're not doing a 9 to 5. That's just not happening.
Oh no.
So, yeah, that's out of the question. So there's certain things that have to be relegated to after school hours, before school hours, whatever it is. And when students are in the building, students and staff, the main thing's got to be the main thing, right? The way you utilize your people, the systems that you put in place, etc. Right? But we're going to keep on talking about this, as I advance through the weeks, because it's an important topic. Dr. Swilley, culture. Let's stay there. Let me put it back on the screen too. Let's stay there. Over time, over the years, I'm on these flights, and I tend to generate things that no one's ever seen before. I got just a slew of presentations on this computer that I've never presented. It was just me. I'm sitting on a plane, boredom, and I create. Like an artist will transition in terms of life, die, and you find out, man, they have more songs that were never published than they actually had out in the world. Well, I probably have more content that I've never spoken on than I've spoken on, right? I just got a lot of stuff. So like with culture, which is, is a core area for me, I started breaking up culture into parts. And I said, because culture comprises so much. So I looked at staff, and this is a reduced list I'm gonna give you. These 15 items that I said, man, just the staff alone, watch this. Staff professionalism, that's culture. Staff morale, staff relations between them, staff buy-in, staff commitment to the school, staff commitment to their own professional learning, staff motivation, staff determination, staff diligence, staff belief in the possibility, staff vision of what we can become, staff discipline to do right always, staff resilience to bounce back, staff diligence, working hard at what we do, staff attention to detail, and lastly, staff attendance. all of that is culture. And it's not even my complete list. And I'm only looking at staff. So my question to you, and this is consistent with Val Foster, when we talk about culture and its significance, because it is extremely, nothing we could do without culture being conducive to doing it. Where does a new principal begin as it relates to, I walk into a school and there's a prevailing culture here that has nothing to do with me? Where do I begin?
Well, it begins with those conversations so you can figure out what that culture is. And if you talk to the staff, because that's something I did when I came in, I met with every single person on the staff. And you'll figure out very quickly what the norms are. You'll figure out very quickly, what that temperature is. You'll figure out what they're frustrated with. You'll figure out what they are happy with. And you'll figure out, some of those best kept secrets, so to speak, once you're talking with them. So I would encourage every new principal to sit down and talk to your staff. I will encourage every veteran principal to revisit those conversations, because over time, that culture can shift and drift, and you can feel it. You can feel it as a principal when it begins to shift a little bit. And then you need to have those conversations to regroup. And I tell people all the time, I love to do the surveys where you can get a pulse of that culture anonymously, so you can see what people, get them to really say what's bothering them or what may be going on in the building. But I always begin with a conversation. I think a lot can happen with a 10-minute conversation. You one-on-one. Number one, they get the message that you're invested in them just as much as they need to be invested in you. Number two, you are sitting down with them and you're able to hear. A lot of times we do a lot of speaking as leaders, but then we need to be more of a listener. Hear the things that are not being said outwardly. You can see them by the mannerisms. You can see it by the body language. You can see it by, how someone, their face when they walk into the door. So being out and visible is another thing that I would say. When you're out and visible and walking that building and you walk up on some of the conversations, or you walk into the teacher's lounge, or you walk into the meeting after the meeting that's occurring, you're able to feel that pulse of what is happening in your building. I also say, who your teachers leaders are in your building. So mine are called my guiding coalition. And so they light the way for some things. Tap into those persons because they're able to give you some insight that sometimes people won't share with the leader. One of the stories that I share often was I had a staff member that people thought was my friend, a very close friend outside of the building. And things were being done to them by that person that were totally against what I stand for. But because they thought that person was my friend, that they couldn't tell me what was happening to them by that person. And so I was on the verge of losing some more great people because of things that were happening behind the scenes, so to speak, that I didn't condone, but that my name was being used to condone, that were oblivious to me. I didn't even know was occurring. And so because I had those persons that were my eyes and ears when I wasn't present, I was able to find that information out. So my advice would be to talk to your people. My advice is to be visible. My advice is to build those relationships with the teacher leaders in your building that your teachers trust, because they will become their voice. We do that for kids all the time, but we sometimes don't do that for the adults in our building. So develop that group of people that the teachers trust so that they have their safety net to go to when they don't always want to bring it to the administration. And then we're able to get it, act upon it, and make the decisions that don't allow our culture to be effective negatively, or lose good people because we're failing to address what needs to be addressed.
Yeah. Good stuff. I agree. Before we move on to the next one, got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you are you in a position to accept invitations to keynote and consult?
Absolutely. Yes.
All right. So let's take a quick commercial break as we do every week. Folks, we're gonna take a quick commercial break. We ain't going nowhere. I gotta do this commercial break. Dr. Swilley, as NASSP National Principal of the Year, but not confined to that, because that's just something that was bestowed upon her. She also trains, she also consults, she also does keynoting. So Doc, tell them how to get in touch with you. And we'll do this again at the end, but I like to do it, before we get there, because we got so many people on right now. So tell them how they get in touch with you so that they could bring you in to do a full day of training, half day of training, keynote address for a program, whatever it is.
So my website is just getting launched, and so that will be coming very soon. It's going to be educate-her.com. My Facebook page is up and active of Educate Her, and it's EDUCATEHER. So Educate Her. Play on educator, just with the her on the end. And that her is helping everyone rise. So it's not just working with females, but it's helping everyone rise. I'm on Twitter at Principal T Swill, and you can email me at educateher25@gmail.com.
Did Jean get it right here?
Yes, that is the website. That's under construction, so that is just being built. But email me in the meantime at educateher25@gmail.com. On Twitter, you can message me there at Principal T Swill. If you follow Principal Kafele, he's tagged all of my pages in his posts, so you can find me there and we can connect.
Yeah. There you go, folks. Good stuff. We're gonna do that again at the end. And I got to take this opportunity as well. Let me slide over a little bit. Bam. I didn't show you any of my books today. This is where my focus is right now. What is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise? You can go to Amazon right now, go to your other device or go to the other tab. Pre-order the copy. It'll be out in 2 weeks, December 16. But I want to make sure that you all who are on here are aware that's of the 14 books I've written. That is by far the most important book I've written, because it's all about instructional leadership. It's all about ensuring that who I am as AP, as who I am as principal, that I am of value instructionally, not of value as a leader. That's not the question. That's not my business. What my business is, are you of value instructionally to the teachers you supervise? So not all the teachers in the building, but the ones who report to you. Is there something about your presence in their lives, in their buildings, that they are growing pedagogically because you walk into the building every year? That's what that book is about. Make sure you pre-order so that on December 16, Amazon, ASCD, Barnes & Noble, whoever you order from can send you that book right away before the holiday break. Enough said. We got business to attend to. So let me get this off of here, and let's go to this next one. Where we at? Here we are. Student voice. Let me read it. Student voice and student-centered decision-making. Always asking the question, how are the children? Making sure to add the children into the discussion. And I might say, for the fam out there, I love history and so forth. So the Maasai out of Kenya, that is their question, because they know that the children are the future. So there's an obsession with how are the children relative to who they are as a culture. And I even put the language on the language is Kasarian. This is how you say it, because Kasarian Ingera. Kasarian Ingera, meaning how are the children, right? So good stuff. What are you telling us, Doc?
Listen, we were making a whole lot of decisions for children and not including the children. And so, a couple years ago, we had a student voice group, and I was very nervous about it because the kids were going to have an opportunity to critique us and tell us what was going on the campus and hear their voice. And I was nervous, but once I did it, I was thankful that I did, because I learned from my students, like, we were thinking that we were doing a whole bunch for kids, but it wasn't making it to the kids. So we learned that we had to improve the two-way communication. And then we were making a whole lot of rules for children and not including them in the rule-making process. And so for high school students, I think that's a very big deal, because the next step post high school is adulting. And they're going to forever be a part of the decisions that they make as adults. So why don't we start training them now to make those decisions or have those conversations around the decisions that they make? So I will give you an example. We had a dress code. And, Principal Cafella, you've been on Twitter talking about this, pull your pants up, take your hat off, take your hood off. Like, we were having these conversations every day, so much so that I was tired of it. Like, I would walk into a classroom and kids start doing this and fixing themselves. And I was like, okay, but what is happening prior to me coming? Yeah. So I went back to my staff and I had the conversation, hey, are hats and hoods in the building important? Do we care? Is it impacting the learning of students? Is it impeding their ability to learn because they got a hat on their head or they got a hood on their head? Do we care? Because if we don't care, why are we addressing it? Or if we care, then we need to consistently address it. Everybody, because it has to become our way of life, or we just talking. All right. And so then I talked to the kids and they begin to tell me about, it was just a safety net. It was just, it was their comfort zone. It was just to be able to be comfortable. And so we got rid of the hats and hood rules. And I'll be honest with you, I probably see less hats and hoods now than I did all before, because we were just addressing it over and over. And I found myself, questioning, is this really impeding the learning of our students, or are we just letting us get in the way? Yeah. The same thing with IDs, and I get the IDs for safety reasons. And so some of the things that I tried at my school may not be able to be replicated at other schools who have large populations. But to give you, a little background, it's 628 kids. I know all my kids. We know very quickly when somebody's on our campus that should not be on our campus. We know them. And so, but we were making IDs punitive. So kids was getting kicked out of class that you knew should have been in your class. You knew they were your kid because they didn't have an ID. Like, make it make sense. So now we got a kid who really don't want to be there. They don't bring their ID. Now they don't have to be there. And we're getting further behind in the learning process. So I talked to my kids about these things, and, they understood, because we had the conversation of why it was important to be able to be identified. And what are you going to do with your ID at the next level? And when you go on your job, do you know some jobs you can't do anything without having your ID? Like, you can't even log into your computer. So we gave them the why behind it. But really, every decision that we make moving forward since about maybe 6 years ago, we involve our kids. Now South Carolina is moving to a law in January 2025 where kids won't be able to access the cell phone at all once they walk into the school day.
Wow.
Well, that's a big transition for our kids. And so, I'm using my kids to push this message. I'm using my kids to help me navigate how we're moving forward. We've been phone-free spaces in the classroom, but now it's going to eliminate in the change of classes and at lunchtime. So now what can I do? So the kids are telling me ideas of, let's have, Dr. Swilley, let's do a mindful Monday. Let's take an opportunity to, de-escalate, detach, and really, get some things going for our brains and really be able to do some yoga and some things that are going to help us. And then, they love karaoke. And so we're going to do karaoke on Thursdays, and they want to go on nature walks, and they want to do talk about it Tuesday. So I'm using their ideas to kind of fill some of that dead time that they would have been on those devices, so that we don't have this mass disciplinary issue in January,
Yeah.
So the biggest thing I learned is just, listen to the kids who we're making the decisions for them. If we truly want to understand how are the children, let's talk to the children. We can't talk about them and never include them. So think about it even as a leader. Think about, if your superintendent or your district staff or everybody's making decisions for you, but never ask the principal, how would you feel? Like, you wouldn't want to work with that. All right. So our kids, we've been making these decisions for them for so long and never letting them have a seat at the table or giving their voice. We had to change that. And so ever since then, we have been doing just that. And I'm just amazed at the thought-provoking ideas that our students are bringing to the table.
I want to give you a scenario.
Okay.
I'm a young principal, and I'm tuned in this morning. In fact, I'm locked in this morning. I'm somebody out on the other side of my camera, and I'm loving everything that you're saying. and I'm particularly fixated on this question: how are the children? But I've got some staff in my building that I perceive don't really love the children. It's a job. They love the high performing kids, and they may be in the minority, but there's a lot of kids, a lot of scholars in there that they don't necessarily. I don't perceive. This is me talking for somebody out there. I don't feel the love for them. My question to Dr. Swilley would be, how do I create? And this is a culture question again. How do I create a collective mindset amongst my staff of how are the children?
You have to. And I would say the how is going to be determinant upon who you have in your building currently. So I think if you ask any staff person in your building, hopefully if you ask any educator in your building, do you believe all kids can learn? They're going to say, yeah. And so my question has now shifted to, do you believe all kids can learn at high levels? Okay. And my thing is, you have to be able to create an environment where that is the expectation, so much so that if anybody doesn't get on board, they are uncomfortable. They have to be the outlier. And that takes time, because in education, we can't just fire anybody. You have to go through some processes. Sometimes you feel like you're on trial to prove someone is ineffective for your building. But we did it through the way of, conversation, observation, book studies. And we had to recognize, are you on the right bus? And I had to be okay with saying, if you don't believe in where we're going or what we're able to do, and all of my kids able to do it at some level, then you're on the wrong bus and you can't stay here. And I had to be okay with that. I had to be okay with recognizing this may not be the right place for you. And so at Fairfield Central, we're going to believe all kids can learn with the proper supports and assistance in place. You're going to have to get on board with that, or we're going to call you out. We're going to address it. So it has to be, and I will encourage our principals, let's not continue to do, and it's uncomfortable. Having those critical conversations is very uncomfortable, but let's not continue to preach to the choir, because your teachers that you're not talking to are the ones who are being impacted. You got to be willing to have those conversations with those who are negatively impacting your culture and climate in your building. Those who are running out of here faster than the kids. Those who are not fulfilling their obligations to plan effective lessons. Those who who have low limits for your students. Those who if they were in another building that was deemed to be esteemed, that they would not do what they're currently doing. Those who that think, if I just show up, I'm good enough. Those are the people that you got to have those conversations with, to not run away from them, because you're going to mess around and lose your good people because you want to address the ones that are negatively impacting your culture. So again, getting in the classrooms, hearing from your students, they will tell you. You walk into that classroom and a kid begins to say, oh, you teaching today because Dr. Swilley in here.
Yeah.
That's somewhere you need to go back. All right. And visit again. They're going to say that, but they're only going to say that when it's not happening. They're going to say things to you about that tough teacher who is speaking negatively to them when you're not present. Those little digs at kids, like I tell my teachers all the time, don't say to a kid, you should have learned that in elementary school. How degrading. Okay, they didn't learn it, so now give it to them. And so working with the little things, it's like even in sports, you have to start with the fundamentals. So beginning with the fundamentals of your expectations, just as we do with our students, teaching our faculty on things we say and what not to say, things we do and what not to do, so that we don't just assume that everybody's come ready to have, those expectations. I'm in a high poverty, rural community. But one of the things I'm very passionate about is you won't set low expectations for my kids. My kids can compete with anybody in this nation. And so if you're going to be anybody that is always the woe is me, or, handicapping my kids because they say you come from poverty or you come from this, we're going to have to eliminate that real quick. All right. And so, having those conversations will be my first piece. Getting into those classrooms will be the second piece. Listening to the students, listening to your guiding coalition of teachers who are going to shine the light. And then once that becomes engulfed, it doesn't mean that everybody, is, 100% Team Swilley all the time, but they're 100% team the mission and the vision of we can provide quality learning opportunities for every single student in this building every single day. And when they're team behind that, those outliers will stand out very clearly. And so we have done that over time. It takes time to clean up the campus with the low expectations. Now we have some that we're still working with, and that's going to be ongoing. But making certain that you address it. It has to be addressed. Don't run from it. Having those critical conversations, and they're uncomfortable. I hate them. I prep myself before the meeting, and then I detox after the meeting because it's totally outside of who I am as a leader. I believe in the best for all. So sometimes having those conversations are very uncomfortable for me, but I had to learn that if I don't address it, then I'm hurting the children. And I put the face of my kid on those kids and say, if I don't want Jalen and Peyton to receive it, then I can't have any other kid in this building to receive it as well. And so that's what we have to do. So making it personal, even for your staff, everybody on your staff may not have children, but they have a kid that they love. And so sometimes when that kid is giving you all the reluctance that you don't want to have, put that face of the kid that you care about that's impactful to your life, and you will make the right decision to make sure that kid gets what they need to be successful.
Powerful stuff. Hey, fam, Doc said, don't set low expectations for my students. My students can compete with anybody in the world. That's got to be where you are. That's got to be where I am. That's got to be where we are. Right? It matters. We winding down, y'all. We almost there. We're hanging there with us. We're hanging. We still got a large crowd on here, man. We got thousands in here that have been in and out or with us. So we winding down. Staff development and retention, how to grow your own and how to keep them. What are you telling us?
Oh, yeah. So everybody knows there's a teacher shortage. All right. I would rather, I tell my staff all the time, I work to help you get better than I would want to replace you. Okay. And that's a mindset that I had to develop over time as well. But I will tell them, you're not going to find a better place to work. Every job has its trials and tribulations. And, as my mentor, Dr. J.R. Green would say, every day is not Sunday. And so if anybody promises you a utopia in any school, they're lying, run. All right. But I can promise you your good days will outweigh your bad days if we get in here and we work together. So I strive to create a culture and climate on this campus for my staff that they enjoy being here. So much so we're doing some things, and we're working on some ideas here at Fairfield Central that, my custodian staff has even came in over the Thanksgiving break, and there's like, we just got to get this right. We got to get this right because our school deserves this. So much so when you get that buy-in, that motivation, they feel my heart, they feel my spirit to say, everybody understands, or they start to ask questions about, if I'm asked a question, Doc, what should I say? And I said, you just tell your real experiences each and every day here on this campus. So you have to make your campus somewhere where your staff wants to be, because they don't have to be. They can get a job anywhere. They want to be in your school building. And I take that very seriously. And I thank them very often for, being here and deciding to work with our students and staying committed to the mission that we have here. I don't take that lightly. Every week I tell them thank you. Every week I tell them I appreciate them. And I used to be the principal that said, your check is your morale. Like, you get paid to be here. Like, do the work because you get paid. But I had to learn differently. Everybody loves a good job. Everybody loves, and I'm the type of person is I'm not going to stop working because you tell me good job. I'm gonna go harder because now I feel like you believe in me. Now I feel like you're tapped into my potential. So I learned that I use what motivated me to help motivate others with staff development, giving them some voice. What do you want to learn about? So we do surveys all the time to ask them what do they want to know more about. And then we use our data to drive some of the other staff development, but giving them choice that they can select some different learning opportunities for them to grow and develop. And I tell them all the time, whenever you think you know it all, it's time to go to the house. All right. So as you said earlier, going to other presentations and keynotes and hearing other people speaking and learning from them. Hey, like I said, I work with new principals, but I'm learning from them as well. Whenever you think you know it all, you need to go to the house because it's done for you, And so you got to be able to be impactful, but creating an environment that they want to be there and recognizing that they don't have to be there and embracing that, loving on that. And then remember the people. Don't keep the working on the mission that you forget the people. So everybody's going through life's battles. When you know someone is going through struggles, when you know somebody's going through hardships, just taking a moment to say, how are you? Now, how's my teacher? How are you? Or sending them a text message to say, hey, just praying for you, thinking about you. I told my staff last week, we have so much to be thankful for, but also remember and encourage and keep others lifted in prayers who are going through some personal battles that they don't even talk about at this particular moment. So I have staff members who are battling cancer who are still trying to come into work every day, and dealing with things of family members and losing loved ones and all of the things that are going on in life. Life is life. But they still come and show up for our kids. They show up and you have to ask yourself why. And that's because they believe in what we have going on. So creating that environment where they believe in what you do and then supporting them along the way and helping them get better and grow and achieve their personal goals that they have for themselves.
Powerful stuff, folks. Hey, fam out there, I hope you heard it all. When I first received the talking points and how to grow your own really resonated with me because and how to keep them, because I have a sports mind. And I know you love sports as well. And at the professional level, you think about those teams that are able to sustain winning, that have a longevity of winning, are those who build teams through the draft, not trades and free agency, but they build their own over a period of time. So one of the teams I think about the San Antonio Spurs and the old ones and so many others over the years who created a dynasty because they grew their own. So because I think that way, going back into my principalship, which is a long time ago, but I left in 2011 to do the work I do today. But I literally went on my PA system one day and said, if there's any student in this building who has even had a fleeting thought of becoming a teacher, I want to talk to you. And I had hundreds of kids come to my office. This was high school. And I created a club, Future Teachers of America, but we weren't associated with the larger body. We were just independent. And I would take them to conferences and I would conduct after school classes. And I used a book that I wrote, Handbook for Teachers of African American Children, one of my earlier books. And that was our textbook. And I always say the biggest regret that I have in leaving my principalship was the fact that a lot of those kids became teachers, and their initial exposure to teaching professionally was our club. So I always said, imagine I was leading a school and I was able to hire a percentage of those kids who became teachers to work for me. That's got to be heaven, to walk into a building and you got a percentage of staff who were your freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and I launched their careers before they went to undergraduate school. So that would have been, had I stayed, another example of growing your own. So I'm saying to somebody out there, you may, and I've told that story before. You may have children, and you may have a teacher shortage right now. You may be a high school principal. You may have aspiring teachers in your classrooms, and you're unaware that they're there. So they go to undergrad school, study to become a teacher. not knowing that there's a connection to your district and school. So you want to tap into them right now. And then, and of course, programs such as in your state, Call Me Mister, right? Like that's that's a given there. But other states don't have that, right? So what are we doing to keep these kids in house? I taught in the district that produced me, East Orange, New Jersey. I led in the district that produced me until politics made me go somewhere else, right? So but in which I've told that story on here a couple of times. So keep that in mind, fam, out there. Your future teachers might be sitting not just in your high school classrooms, but your elementary and middle school classrooms. They may be right there, but you didn't tap into them and they went elsewhere, right? Keep that in mind. Let's go. We almost there. We got community engagement. Involving all stakeholders in the learning process can be difficult in a small rural environment, but essential. Village mentality must come back. Holla.
Listen, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to educate a child. We have to bring the village back. I can remember growing up and, before I got home, maybe if I had a bad day or got in trouble or something, you were corrected by 10 different other adults before you got home, to even your parents. But now we're at the don't say anything to my kid, don't talk to my kid, don't do anything. Even so as walking in the malls, and you hear the kids using profanity. That's something we would have never done as kids while an adult, but now it's like we're scared to and afraid to talk to our young people. And, sometimes my daughter hates walking through the store with me because I'm going to address it. I'm going to say something. Baby, come on now, watch your mouth. Can you help me? We got young people in here or older people in here. And the kids respond very well. Now, you have some that, may not respond, but when we have the notion in our communities that the overarching majority of our kids are going to have a negative response, then we have low expectations. And predominantly, those kids just want some direction. They just want somebody to, kids want discipline. They're not going to ask for it, but they want it. And so, I will see some of my most challenging kids gravitate to me. And those are the ones that come back and see me and visit. And I'll think about all the times I was like, Lord, I used to have to put you out. But every time we're going to have that referral, and even if it's going to come with the suspension, I'm going to hear them. I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to share with them why they can't continue this type of behavior. And then what strategies can we put in place to help you improve? Yeah. And I say that, in a community like Fairfield, we're very small. We're very close-knit. A lot of the communities, a lot of the people are kin to and relatives to one another. We have to look out for our own kids. And we have to do that transcends just our communities. But, I'll go in Columbia Mall and a lot of those kids are not mine. But even striking up a conversation, and I've had other principals and assistant principals do that. And then I get a message on Facebook that says, hey, I met some of your kids today in the mall and I talked to them and I shared with them and I said, oh, I'm gonna follow up with them on Monday to see what was going on. But just to know that we have to wrap our arms around our kids and show them potential that, is there for them. Being able to give them that tough love sometimes, but also to give them that support and encouragement. I strive to give my kids positive affirmations each and every day. So I call it my Griffin tidbit, playing off our school mascot, because you never know. I can remember on Valentine's Day one day getting on the loudspeaker and telling all of my kids, if nobody told you they loved you today, Dr. Swilley love y'all. And I love you each and every day, not just on Valentine's Day. And I had kids come up to me and say, nobody's ever said that to me. And so just the little things that we've talked about make a huge difference. But as a village of leaders, if I go on somebody else's campus, I'm going to talk to children. I'm going to connect with children. I'm going to help young people. We have to wrap our arms around our young people. They are our future. They are our generation. If we don't engage them, if we don't engage our community. So I tell people all the time, Friday Night Lights is what is going to happen in Winsboro, South Carolina. So I use that to my advantage. I'm going to have my announcements about my school improvement council meeting happening at the games. I'm going to tell parents about prom ticket sales are going on now. I'm going to use that as a opportunity to share, because even if you're not a parent, you may be an auntie who can say to then the parent, do you know they're having a meeting at school? Do you know they're having a conversation? Do you know interims were released yesterday? Did you know? So that we can keep the community engaged in what's going on. All stakeholders are important, y'all. No one is not essential to the education of our students. And so using what works in your community, knowing how to get the word out is very important. And so anytime that I can call in the village has shown up for me. And so I call them in for our children. And then I'm gonna do it when I go in someone else's community, because I feel like that's my responsibility. And we have to get out of that mindset of fear. We can't operate in fear, because sometimes our young people just need guidance and direction. And they're not always the rough, oftentimes in the African-American community, especially, thugs that they're described to be. Right. They're just, looking for a way, an outlet, or some guidance. And so you taking that 5 minutes to say, hey, baby, watch your mouth. It makes a difference. I've had some conversations with some young people. What do you want to do with yourself? What do you want to do with your future? Okay, what if I was an employer for that job and your pants hanging off your butt like this? Like, taking the opportunity to use those as teachable moments for our kids. So yes, we got to engage everybody, because the village is a must for our students.
I love, man, that's a whole, once again, that's a whole session, because that resonates with me because of my leadership style. Like everything you said as principal, I said, okay, I got to teach this. And of course I want my staff to reinforce it, but that was my baby. As simple as I every time I went into a new school, because I led 4 different schools, I walk into a school, the children don't know how to properly address me. Right. So I had to teach that. Right. So that they know it's not what's up. It's not a head nod, and all that kind of stuff, all that kind of stuff is
bruh.
Yeah, bruh. Right. I got to teach that. So I taught it and I would reinforce it. So I never had that issue. But I talk about things that you just talked about, you all's behavior in the mall, in the store. You are representing, and this is when I used to do an announcement at the end of the school day, not just my morning message, but we dismissed at 3 o'clock, so 2:55. My teachers knew that I need those 5 minutes, right? So it became a part of the culture of the school. And I'm saying to them as they leave the building, as you leave this afternoon, do not misrepresent. You are representing this North Tech, your principal, your teachers, your parents, but most importantly, yourselves. Do not misrepresent. I'm not saying it authoritarian. I'm literally talking to them. Mm-hmm. So it's a different tone from what I just said to you. So and I'm saying that regularly. But then when we come together in our young men's empowerment program, our young women's empowerment program, then we're breaking that down a lot more. And see, when you talk about the village, so I went out into the community, 4 surrounding cities, which were all urban: Newark, East Orange, Irvington, and whichever one I just left out, Orange. And we recruited hundreds of people to be a part of us, to come in, not just for a career day, but literally every Monday. All I need is one of the hundreds that I got on my list. All I need is one of you, one time for your entire life. I never need you again unless you just want to come back again, because I got that many. That I have on my list. So now they come in, and based on my criteria that I set up, I had a whole framework. I need you to address one of these strands with your story. And that was easy for them. The ones who were afraid to speak publicly in front of teenagers, I said to them, listen, this is a culture here. You'll never be disrespected, but I'm always going to be there anyway. Right. So it worked out really nice. So we got the village, we got the instruction going on. We got kids understanding that when you're on public transportation, you still representing yourselves and us. When you're in the mall, you still representing, and so on and so forth. So it was always an honor for someone to stop me and say, Principal Kafele or Mr. Kafele, we know when we see your students because they're different. And I say, yeah, because we go hard on just instilling, the values that they're going to need. And that's including sagging. We got rid of that, man. It's like I got tired of telling kids, pull up your pants, pull up your pants. So we had to make it the culture so the youngsters understood what we expected, right? So we can go on and on with that because it's so much there. But we got one more, folks. Hang in there with us. Excellence in academics, athletics, and the arts, taking care of the whole child while setting no limits because of their zip code, demographics, or economic status. Go ahead and tell us what you mean.
So our theme this year is protect the brand. And as we talked about, as you just were saying, they are the brand. So I tell my students when they talk about Fairfield Central High School, they're not talking about these bricks. They're talking about you. And so you need to own that and take it personal. And so, our goal is every aspect of their lives, we're going to excel in it. That's the goal. Excellence is the standard. And so our Griffin Pride Matrix, the pride, it stands for perseverance, respect, integrity, determination, ultimately excellence. We go through that. We ingrain that in them of when you put on that Griffin jersey, when you put on that Griffin hoodie, when you go into the stores and you carry yourself, you're representing yourself, your school, your community, your parents, and you represent me. And so I tell them, you have that, you have that responsibility. And so we have to teach them how to own that responsibility. So our theme of the protect the brand was coined by one of my teachers that passed away on January the 1st of this year, Coach Carmen Washington. He was a teacher here and a coach here and an alumni of the school. And he poured his heart into this community. And as a coach, he branded that of protect the brand. Like when you go out here in the field of play, you are to protect what we have trained you to be able to do. And so we took that same mantra and said, hey, we can have this always. And we are responsible for protecting the brand in excellence in academics, athletics, and the arts. Recognizing that a kid may be athletically inclined, but how can you use that to motivate them in academics? Or a kid may be good in the arts. How can you use that to motivate them in academics? Providing opportunities for their interest to come alive in school and then infusing that interest into the classroom. So, I was observing some classrooms and I had a teacher teaching a concept, and it was in a social studies class and a science class. And the kid was really engulfed in the drawing. And the teacher said, okay, come on, just draw that. It's not art class. And I stopped him after we had a discussion. And I said, you missed a moment there. All right. Because that kid was using their interests. Yeah. And it was using that art to flow into your content area. Build off of that. Like, don't rush that process. Build off of that, because we can infuse that art and that can ignite a new passion of personal relevance for that kid to excel in your social studies or your science class. And we had that conversation of how do we do that? How do we integrate the arts into our classrooms? And so that's our big deal here of making sure our kids understand that look, I tell everybody my story. I was grown before I realized I was first generation college student. And I had to think about that. I was like, wait a minute. And I had to think about, my parents, didn't go to college, but they always pushed in me or instilled in me the importance of education. They didn't even know what I was going to experience, but they pushed that in me to make certain I did just that. And so how can I keep that going regardless of where my kids live or what the educational opportunities of their parents? And that's what they know. We set no limits here at Fairfield Central. The only limits you set are the ones you impose on yourself. And I'm going to show you how to divide those and go against it. So, that's our goal there with excellence in academics, athletics, and the arts.
It's I just got a follow-up question I want to ask you, and then we go to our rapid fire.
Okay.
I think about the volume, just the years of teaching and leadership, and the volume of young people who really believed that professional sports or entertainment was in the cards for them. Now, of course, I'm one of thinking big, dreaming big, and going after. I'm never going to challenge that. However, when I got a whole school that want to play both professional football and basketball, right? And then I'm a rap as well, or sing, or act, whatever it is. Then at some point we got to have an honest conversation, right? Particularly when you didn't even make the freshman team, the JV team, the varsity. You're not even on the team. You playing in the rec league, but you going to the NBA, right? All that kind of stuff. Then when I left and started doing a zillion different assemblies with young people, and particularly teenagers, and I'm seeing it through kids who are not mine. And I mean, which one of y'all, who in here does want to go into professional sports? And it's the whole gym.
Right.
the whole auditorium. So my question to you, you know, of course I got my own answers, but I want to hear from you. How do we go about convincing children, particularly in today's times of 2024, in the midst of social media and so many competing interests? How do we convince young people that despite what you've heard, education still works?
Exposure. Exposure is key, and that's what I believe in. If they see it, they can believe it. And so one of the things, you know, I will tell you, everybody wants to be a rapper. That's the biggest thing. Everybody want to be a rapper.
Yeah.
But exposing them to all of the other facets of that. So the engineer, the producers, you know, all of the lyricists, the writer, like these rappers, they perform it, they rap it, but it's a lot of people in the background that make this what it is. And a lot of them make a lot of the money owning the rights to this music that is now being produced, showing them the opportunities that exist with the empowerment of education. Education is your equalizer. And so that's the message that we have to push. That's the message that we have to share, but exposing them to that. And so one of the things that I make certain is that my students see the world here at Fairfield Central. And so we don't just limit that to just what's happening in Winsboro, South Carolina. They travel states. They have even traveled internationally. And people thought I was crazy. They were like, what? And I'm like, yeah, exposure is key. If they don't see it, then how do they know that they can become it? How do they know that they can experience it? The stuff that they read about in these textbooks, let's show them. And so that's the way you overcome that. You use the data too. I like to be real with my kids. I'm gonna show them the data. Let's see statistically how many of you, even now, you can break it on down. Even high school students getting recruited now out of high school. That portal has totally messed that up.
Yeah.
So like 5% of high school kids getting recruited. And so if you're able to get recruited at the high school level to even play at the collegiate level, you know, take advantage of that opportunity to get something that you can never get taken away from you. And that's a degree. All right. So get that college degree based on you playing a sport that you love and take advantage of that and eliminating, oh, it's not D1. I'm not taking that. No, you this D2, right. D3 may be the environment that you need in order to be successful. So showing them, you have to make it real for them. And so this generation is all about, I'm going to be a social media influencer and I'm going to be this and I'm going to be that. That work is not, that's some real work, you know? And so exposing them to what it is. So I provide internship opportunities, mentorship opportunities, job shadowing opportunities, so they can see what it is behind that work, but they also can see other fields and things that, hey, this may be my niche. I may be a good producer of music. I may be a good sound engineer. I may be a good geographer. I may be, you know, and so every week I try to infuse them with a totally different career. On Wednesdays, my announcement is going to be centered around Workforce Wednesday. On Thursdays, it's going to be College Thursday. And I'm even introducing colleges I never heard of. So like the college coming up this week is Harvey Mudd College. And I've never even heard of the school, but it's one of the big producers of STEM students, a 93% rate, 93% graduation rate, but only a 13% acceptance rate. So I want to challenge my kids to be a part of that 13%. Why? Yeah. So at the end of the day, exposure is key. So showing them, you know, the opportunities that are available behind the interest, they may not just be those ones that they see. So, you know, it may be a sports agent, it may be a physical therapist, it may be, you know, you have the kid that had the ACL tear, the MCL tear, and now they working with another kid to be able to be that physical therapist that helps them mentally, emotionally, and physically overcome an injury after they experience that in education, in athletics. And so using their experiences to teach them how to build upon that to write and navigate their own story. So exposure is a key into shaping how we get everybody to understand that it's mathematically impossible for everybody to be a rapper, a ball player. But we can show you some other opportunities to live your dream, have an exciting life, and to do what you love doing.
Yeah. You know, your as we transition to these rapid fire questions, your presence in the building has really shined throughout the time we've been on here. I can literally see you in the building. You're not the principal that nobody knows, nobody sees, no one knows what you're thinking. You know that you have a presence in your school that I think shines throughout the course of the day that you're in there. You know, and to me that matters. You know that they hear your voice because you just reference the loudspeaker and all that kind of thing. So they know you're there. You know, and that kind of leadership matters. So I'll just, before I transition to the rapid fire, I'll just put the mirror up and, hey, leader that's on the call right now, because I mean, we've been on 2 hours, and in terms of real-time numbers, we still at 745 in terms of the 4 platforms, which tells me that we've probably had about 4,000 or 5,000 come through this morning. So I'll say to you, what is your presence, right? Do they see you, and is there something that you bring with your presence that it matters that they see you, that they hear you, right? That, you know, but that's a whole other conversation. So I won't even broach it here. But let's go to rapid fire. These are just one word or one sentence. You feel yourself putting in a comma too much, right? Just bam, bam, bam. Here we go. Is education on the right path for underserved children in America?
No.
Let me get rid of that too. Let me bring you down here. All right, here we go. Can true equity occur in America's schools for Black, brown, and other underserved students?
With proper leadership and education.
Does Dr. Tracie Anderson Swilley's work contribute to the progress we desperately need?
Absolutely.
If you could do a reset on your life, would your line of work be different or the same?
No, this is my why.
Why do you continue to do this work?
For the children.
What fires you up within the work that you do?
Working with young people.
What do you dislike about the work you do?
Those who don't believe in young people.
What has been your greatest victory in this work thus far?
Every year, a new graduating class.
What was your greatest mistake in this work?
Not trusting the process.
What has been your greatest challenge in this work?
Having the difficult conversations.
Are you proud of your first year as an assistant principal?
Yes.
Are you proud of your first year as a principal?
Yes.
Who inspires you in your work?
All of the leaders that support me each and every day.
What book would you recommend for our fam out there this afternoon?
I just ordered Principal Kafele's book. The Teachers I Supervise. Get the new instructional book from Principal Kafele.
Oh man, I appreciate that immensely. What do you want to accomplish that you haven't accomplished yet?
To continue to grow future leaders on a national platform.
Are you satisfied with where you are professionally?
Absolutely.
What would you say to an AP out there who continues to face closed doors to the principalship?
Keep working. Keep putting your foot to the fire. Keep trying new things. Your time is coming.
What would you say to a leader out there who's lost their leadership passion?
Go back to your why.
What would you say to a leader out there who's lost their leadership confidence?
Look at your village.
And lastly, if Dr. Tracie Anderson Swilley was a word in a dictionary, what would be your definition?
Passionate.
Passionate. Love it. Love it. Let me tell you something. This was powerful. It was dynamic. It was extraordinary. It was phenomenal. It was amazing. I see all the emojis already. So to the folks who are out here who are not part of the family, the way we applaud our guests is we just put our favorite emojis on the screen, put a whole lot of them. So if you haven't started, give us those emojis. If today's session resonated with you, if you enjoyed it, if you found it useful, beneficial, something here are things you can implement, take back with you to become stronger, better, more effective at what you do, then give us those emojis. And I see them, man. They come, oh man, they nonstop, all 4 platforms. When I'm on the road, I bring my miniature emoji.
Yes.
You hit it out the park every time you came to bat. Yeah. 4 times, 16 runs, Negro League style. I'm wearing my Cincinnati jersey today, so you hit it out the park for the Cincinnati Tigers, man. Great stuff, great stuff, great stuff. And I appreciate you. Tell them once again, how do they get in touch with you to bring you out to do workshops, trainings, keynotes, anything?
Yes, so you can follow me on all platforms that Principal Kafele has tagged me in, at Principal T Swill on Twitter, Tracie Anderson Swilley on Facebook, Educate Her on Facebook, Educate Her 25 at gmail.com. Also, educate-her.com is my website that is getting up and running now. I'm be able to post everything that has happened in these last 2 months. Of all of the podcasts and opportunities that have been afforded to me. So please contact me, reach out, like, follow, and I promise you together we can continue to impact the lives of young people everywhere.
And do me a favor, give that email address one more time.
EducateHer25 at gmail.com.
And that's no dash in that one, right?
No dash in that one.
All
EducateHer25.
Educate her at Gmail. Educate her 25 at gmail.com. I see Dr. Cynthia Mama J. Johnson, who was with us last week, is in the building. I appreciate you, Doc. I appreciate you. And Sheikah Houston just put that email address up, so let's put it up there. Educate her 25 at gmail.com. Let me just say again to you and to the fam. Hey, fam. Let me just be frank with y'all, man. I ain't faking no funk. I never do. I created this platform 5 years ago, May 4th, 2020. And for me, on a personal level, to have the National Principal of the Year 2025, that's big for me, y'all. I'm gonna be, I could fake it and like, oh man, ain't no big deal, No, I ain't doing that, y'all. That ain't who I am. You know that. That's big for me, man. I got the 2000 before. Because most of the speaking she gonna do coming after this, because she just got it.
Right.
I got in at the beginning, and I got 2 hours. Right. So so I'm bragging. I'm literally bragging, y'all. I got the 2025. NASSP National Principal of the Year, Dr. Tracie Anderson Twilley, in the building at the AP and New Principals Academy. And this "and" is capital letters, y'all. And she's fam. I can't leave that part out, baby. She's fam.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
I still have our picture. I'm gonna find it from 2013 when I heard you speak, and it's been, that's why I told people, I said, Lord, I hope I can keep my composure, because I'm like a fangirl here of your work and the inspiring motivation. So I aspire to just be as motivational to others as you have been to me. So I appreciate you. So I'll tell you one more time, put your book back up there, because I already ordered my copy today. Tell everybody to order their copy today, because I have not read a book or seen a presentation where I didn't learn something from what he has shared. So please make sure you go ahead and get your copy. And then when I roll mine out somewhere down the road in the future,
that's right.
We're going to do this work together. So I'm excited to get my copy. I already placed my order, so I hope you get yours as well. But thank you for the opportunity. It's the Palmetto Bowl going on in South Carolina today, but this was more important for me. It started at 12 o'clock.
Oh my God.
We didn't know it was a 12 o'clock game until after I'd already committed to this. And this was the work that I needed for today. So the rest of my day is going to be spent with family. But shout out to your wife for her birthday. Today is also my niece's birthday. So shout out to my niece on her 30th birthday today. But, I knew that I needed to be here this morning, because like you were glad to have me, to be on your platform is not anything that I take lightly. And so I'm excited for the opportunity.
I appreciate you. And I got to go to Sheikah here, Dr. Houston. I forgot. Yeah, Dr.
Yes.
Houston. You had her first.
Yeah.
Sammy, man. She was on the Real. So y'all go back and check out the video. It was about 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. She was on the Real Academy with Create and Educate with Dr. Sheikah Houston and Dr. Tammy Taylor. You can go right to the YouTube channel and check that interview out, as well as I did myself. Let me close out. Do me a favor, Doc. Stay there until we'll talk offline right quick. Let me close out. Hey, y'all, I'm going to be quick. Let me get rid of, there we go. I appreciate y'all being here for week 240. A lot of people now, these numbers are high, 240. People like, man, 240 consecutively? Really? I don't see how that's even possible. I say, yeah, it's called commitment. That's all it is. It's called commitment. So join me next week for week 241. I got two principals, man. These are friends of mine from Rochester, New York. Principal Dr. Jinga St. Louis and Principal Jason Muhammad. They're colleagues, they're good friends, so it should be good chemistry with them because they're in the same district. Rochester, New York. Join me next Saturday. I don't know our topic yet. I'll have that later, but number 241. Facebook Live every Saturday morning. Super Saturday, Sean Hurt, 10 o'clock. Followed by Create and Educate with Dr. Sheikah Houston, Dr. Tammy Taylor at 10:30. Yours truly, myself at 10:55, AP and New Principles Academy. That's Super Saturday. And then we round it out by calling it the Fantastic Four PDP podcast with Josh Tovar and Dr. Madi Moreno at 7 o'clock Eastern. These are all Eastern times, by the way. If you're new to us, these it's not just this platform, it's all four of us. So we're on every Saturday. That's what we do. I'm going to put this up one more time. We got 2 more weeks. And here we are. Let me move over. Order your copy today. Get it in time for Christmas or the holidays, whatever you celebrate. I'm a Christmas guy, but I'm a big Kwanzaa guy. So, we'll be doing a lot of Kwanzaa stuff online with Black Educators Rock, but you'll hear more about that later. But what is my value instructionally to teach it to the teachers I supervise, instructional leadership? Get yourself a copy. Go to Amazon right now. Go to ASCD. Go to Barnes & Noble. I like Amazon, though, because then I can keep track of them rankings, right? Y'all be taking me to number 1 every Saturday night into Sunday morning. It's typically at number 1 in administration. So I'm blessed for that. I appreciate all of you who have pre-ordered this book. Let me keep going. My school leadership institute, July 15 and 16. We're going to get together all day, July 15 and 16, Raleigh, North Carolina. You might say, man, that's a long way away from now. Yeah, but it's coming. So just go ahead and register now. July 15, 16 will be in Raleigh. Tell somebody, join us. Go to principalcafele.com and scroll down and you'll see the tab to go to the Eventbrite page and then you register there. Subscribe to the AP New Principles Academy YouTube channel. We got 22,800 subscribers. We're almost at 23,000. So I look forward to getting there. So make sure you go ahead and subscribe. We're at 22,900. I just checked it out. So 22,900 subscribers. That's a blessing, man. So make sure you subscribe if you're not a subscriber yet. And make sure you like and follow the AP and New Principles Academy Facebook page. I told you I'm trying to revamp that. I don't like it. I really don't like it, but I still want you to subscribe and follow and like. And I'm going to figure out what we're going to turn it into. I need it to be something a little bit different than the way I use it. Make sure you visit principalcafele.com for additional information. I got a lot of stuff on there. And then finally, as I always say, your diet. Now I'm in Vegas right now. So you know I slipped a little bit. You know that. There's been a little slippage, right? But I've been in that gym. But today's my wife's birthday. For those of you that checked in late, November 30. We will not be in the gym today, right? We ain't doing the gym. We did yesterday. There's some other days, right? So, but not today. I'll be back in there tomorrow though, because I ain't leaving till Monday. So I'll be in there tomorrow morning, and then so make sure you get your exercise in, and then those virus precautions, man. It's so much out here, man. Woo. It's a lot out here, y'all. Right. So it's a lot of people in this hotel with masks on too. I ain't been rocking mine, man. I got so much vaccine in me. So I'm relying on it. Right. I'm relying on it. But I'm not imposing that on you all. You do what's best for you. I don't impose the medical stuff. You do what's best for you, but take care of you. Because as I always say, if you don't take care of you, then there is no you to take care of your students. So make sure you're taking care of you. Other than that, y'all, thanks for being here. Have a great week. Have an extraordinary week. Have your best week yet. Peace. Peace. Thumbs up. Cock that fist back all the way. Count the 3. 1, 2, 3. Bam! I'll see y'all next Saturday, man. Same time, same channel.